In this episode of Mighty Car Mods, we're going to show you how to make a budget DIY water intercooler spray.
It's just like wiping your bottom with an ice cube.
What?
Welcome to another episode of Mighty Car Mods, proudly supported by Just Car Insurance.
Now in this episode, we're going to show you how to make a super DIY budget intercooler water spray thing.
Now we first saw this ingenious idea in Japan, and it is so brilliant and so cheap to put together that we just had to show you how you can do it yourself at home.
How awesome is that? And he's built the whole thing himself.
Steve, could you explain this sticker to our friend? This is a special sticker that only people who work on their own cars themselves are allowed to display.
Okay.
It's very unique.
このシールはですね、ファンたちはもらえるんですけど、これは自分で改造してる人しかもらえないシールなので、結構珍しいな。
Now the idea of this obviously is that you spray some water onto your cooler, and as it evaporates, it keeps it cooler. The way the evaporation works, of course, is by imparting the heat of the body that the water was sitting on, and as it evaporates, it takes the heat with it. And that's why in Australia sometimes in the outback you see people with these big canvas bags on the front of their car, water seeps through, it evaporates, and then you get nice cold water. Now Martin, I do believe that this comes on some mad performance cars from the factory.
That's exactly right. Subaru WRX STI back in the day, they came with factory intercooler water sprays that were activated by your pedal and by load and stuff like that, and they'd spray water over everything.
Which is pretty rad, because like spraying everything under load is kind of, people are into that, which is going to be awesome. Now, the way we're doing it today, though, is super budget, super DIY. We're back on the driveway. It's going to be freaking awesome. We're very excited. But first, we have to go and buy a couple of things.
The great thing about this project is that it costs next to nothing because you hardly need any parts, and you can put the whole thing together in less than an hour.
Are we on the TV again, Martin?
We are, look.
Oh, MX5's on TV. Hello, man. How you doing? Hello. Good. Hello. We're looking for a weed sprayer. Have you got like a pump action weed sprayer? Chit, 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 pump it up, get some pressure, and then blast out some juice. That is what we need, my friends.
This is what we need.
It's going to be amazing, Martin. I love it, Martin. Back on the driveway doing the mad DIY.
With a pressure pack, some vacuum hose and hose clamps, now we've got to head to the hardware store.
Did I mention that this MX5 continues to impress and amaze me? It does, man. For the money, and just, you know, simple mods. You know, turbo, the most basic ECU, bit of lull, bit of fettling. It's still going strong. It was over a year ago we turboed this thing. That's all.
What?
That's all. I know you believe it. I know you drive a Honda, but you do actually. You can't not agree with me.
Man, if you thought Honda owners crapped on about their cars too much, wait till you get stuck next to an MX5 owner.
We're now in the gardening aisle of the local hardware store, where we are deciding what kind of nozzles we're going to have on the end of the spray. You can get a half spray or a full spray or a jet spray.
And you can get brass and plastic. Brass should give you a slightly finer mist, but it all depends how much water pressure you're running.
We've got our garden sprayer and some more hose, and now it's back to the garage.
So you're going to need hardly anything at all for this mad DIY mod. You're going to need a pressure sprayer. Usually these are used for degreasing or for killing weeds and stuff like that in your garden. Get one of them. And then we're just going to need an irrigation sprayer. So normally these are staked into the garden so you can spray all your mad plants with all your mad water. And then you're just going to need some hose and some hose clamps. All of that you should be able to get for 10 or 15 bucks. Now Marty is going to show you the tools that you're going to need.
So these are the tools you're going to need. You're going to need some pliers and some cable ties.
Really?
That's it. Well, you don't need anything else. You just attach it to the car
This
somewhere.
is proper budget spec mod,
Yeah.
isn't it?
I'd like to say we're using like the complete arsenal of tools, but this is it.
We're just going to remove the nozzle here from the end of the pressure sprayer, and we've got to make a kind of a dodgy step down adapter, which is a bit of hose like that, which will attach properly. And then we're going to get another bit of connecting hose that goes into our irrigation that's going to go into this end like this. And then when you've got some water in your pressure sprayer, we're going to pump up our boost like this. And then this little sprayer here, if you keep an eyeball on that, when we release the pressure... Oh, sorry. So it just took a little while. It took a little while because it was just filling the hose up with pressure. But now, so that's going to be sitting there. And when you activate your boost, it's like, hello, like that. Sorry, it's stuff all over the end of the lens. Let me clean that off so I can continue. Listen to those birds, man. Australian birds. They sound like monkeys on ice, don't they? All right, so what we're going to do is this here is going to be mounted inside the car. And the other end is going to be mounted. We're probably going to chop this off and mount this just up here under the intercooler. I don't know if you can see in there. So in the car you go pump, 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 and then spray. Ah! It's not connected. Ah!
Yeah, that kind of needs to be cable tied properly.
Yeah, so that there will be connected properly.
Cable tied properly.
Yes. And then hold. Get some boost, and then that'll be up there like that. Spray.
Look at it go. That's awesome. It's actually got quite a wide spray pattern too.
Actually does.
The hardest part of this install, which shouldn't be that hard at all, is running the hose through the firewall from the cabin to the engine bay.
I can't feel it yet.
But just push it, man. If you give it a proper push with your fist.
I'm trying to push it. I would push it if I could feel it, but it's too small. I can't even get my fingers around it.
Just use your fist, dude.
I can't use my fist because I can't even feel it. I can't feel it going through. You grab it from that end and pull the end of it first, and I'll push the base of it.
Can you get your fist in there?
I can't get it. I can't even get my finger in there, mate, because I can't get it close enough. Wrap your hand around the end of it, and you pull it, and I'm going to fish the back of it at the same time.
I've got it.
Have you?
Yep.
Keep pulling it. That's it. Keep pulling.
Good.
Hold on. My fingers are going in at the same time.
I've got enough in this end, dude.
Hey, my finger's been pulled into it as well.
Oh, really?
And it's really tight. I'm not joking. My finger's been pulled right in.
So just pull it out.
I'm trying to pull it out, but I can't because I'm stuck in there. It's really grabbed me.
If you relax a bit,
Can you push from the other end? Can you push my finger back out again?
There you go.
See, grab the base of it and push out.
Just relax a bit, dude.
I can't. My finger's stuck. I'm not joking. I'm right in there. I'm as far as I can go. My whole finger's in there, and it's wrapped around the base of it.
I've got a whole bit of it then.
Oh, my finger's stuck though. I'm not joking.
Oh, well, it looks like you permanently connected.
No, my finger's actually stuck.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Like seriously stuck?
Yes, I'm seriously stuck.
Really?
Yes, I can't pull my finger out without ripping my fingernail off.
Oh, wow. Oh.
Can you get me some WD-40?
Yeah.
Or something?
That's pretty funny. Hold on.
Oh, come on, man.
Hold on. That's hilarious. Wait. I don't know how this is gonna go on your skin.
Man.
That thing's really sharp, man.
Oh.
Wow. Look at that.
Well, it started to go white at the end.
Oh, that's grot. That's really grot, man.
WD-40 saves the day again, Martin.
Okay, so unless you've got a Volkswagen, it shouldn't actually be that hard. Run the hose down to your intercooler and then slide the sprayer nozzle off the garden stake. Ream it out so you can fit a bolt through it and then find somewhere on your front bar where you can mount it. Connect the hose attached to the sprayer nozzle to the hose running from the inside of the cabin, and then cable tie it down securely, making sure it's out of the way of your engine components. Throw a hose clamp onto the nozzle of your pressure sprayer. We've made a step-down hose adapter with a piece of larger hose. Once this is done, you can attach it in the cabin and mount the bottle. We're just using a couple of cable ties, but feel free to make up your own mounting system depending on how permanently you want to keep the install.
So the last step is to mount up your Mad water sprayer, but keep in mind you do have to pull it out to refill it. And if you're hitting boost like a mad dog, you're going to be refilling your thing all the time. So keep it accessible. We're just going to stick it here, attach them on with some cable ties, and we'll be mad. So when I got my first serious turbocharged car, it was a twin turbo Subaru Legacy, which has a top mount intercooler like so many WRXs do. Now, from the factory, some of those come with a water spray, much like what we've done, but it runs off a separate bottle that sits in the boot. What I did on that car when I owned it was used the second pump that comes on this washer bottle, which is used for the back window, which in reality you very rarely use. You just basically reroute that up to your intercooler. It's a really simple modification, and it just uses one of these motors, which is just a tiny little water pump, which goes in the bottom there and then gets sent out a fitting exactly like what we've got on the end of our little sprayers. And if you want to go completely high tech, you can rig something up. All that needs is switched 12 volt power, and it will make your intercooler wet all day long.
The other awesome thing about that, Marty, I think, is that if you do go for your rear bottle motor down there, then when you want to activate your spray on your intercooler, you're literally just using a switch that already exists in the car, so it's fully stealth. Like, you're not having like a big pressure bottle cable tied into the passenger footwell.
Exactly.
So that's a cool, I mean, it's, you know, there's something really cool, I think, about the physics of doing it just with hand pressure. I think that's really awesome. But definitely if you want to go for full, like, stealth, then that is the way to do it.
Or you can plug this into a bottle, make a 20 ml hole in a bottle of water, in a Coke bottle if you want, and then just use that.
By now you may be wondering, what is it actually doing and how does it work?
Well, it's all about evaporative cooling. Now, the water in itself is not actually making your intercooler colder, it's when the water evaporates. Now, the energy that's in the intercooler that's stored as heat, when the water hits that and the water evaporates, it imparts some of the heat and takes that energy away and evaporates into the air. Now, we first saw that in Australia back in the 1800s. People noticed that the Aborigines, the indigenous people of Australia, were carrying their water around in kangaroo skin and keeping the outside moist. So as that would evaporate, it would keep the water on the inside cool. Now, when there was a gold rush in Kalgoorlie, which is in the middle of Western Australia, people made fridges using the same process as this, getting hessian bags over a frame, cool inside because the outside is wet and as it evaporates. If you've ever got out of a swimming pool and you felt the wind hit you, that is the water evaporating, taking your body's heat with you. So that's a good example of how it works. Now, when we recently did our series Lend Us a Ride Australia, out in the outback, you'd see lots of four-wheel drives with bags over the front of their car, and as they're driving along, it is keeping the water cool because the water seeps slowly through the bag, that evaporates, it takes the heat away, and it keeps the water on the inside of the bag nice and cool. And that is the exact process that is going to be happening down here. So I think the next best thing to do now is take it for a drive and try out our mad budget DIY intercooler water spraying system. I gotta say, that's a pretty awesome modification, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It doesn't look ridiculous at all having a big weed sprayer sitting in your dash. It looks like you don't even need to explain that to anyone. They just get in the car and they're like, oh, cool.
It's proper ingenuity. All right, let's give it a go, Martin.
Go.
So much more boost, Martin. So much faster.
Do you know that there's one issue about using a water sprayer on a day like today?
It's pouring with rain.
Pouring rain makes no difference at all.
So Marty, I do believe that you temperature probed this on one of your previous cars. Can you tell me what the results were?
I did on my old Legacy. So I had a temperature probe just after the intercooler, and on like a hot summer's day you'll see intake temps of like 65, 70 degrees. And so I put a water sprayer running from the electric pump on it, and then I would give it a spray, and then you'd see the intake temps drop down like a good 10, 15 degrees, sometimes more.
Wow.
It obviously depends how much air is going through the intercooler, but it does help get rid of the heat quicker.
That's right. And I mean, the thing is, if you're just going to spend like 10, 15 bucks doing something like this, it's proper mad, it's proper DIY, then you may as well. All right, so there it is, another cheap DIY from Mighty Car Mods. Of course, keep your eyeballs on our Faceballs, which is faceballs.com/Mighty Car Mods.
Go get yourself a weed sprayer.
Go get yourself a weed sprayer, and then you can just
Give it a good...
this, just faff it up, get it all juiced up.
Give it a fat.
And then just spray it everywhere.
Oh, chopping an Evo. Yes, more boost.